played tennis in jorts.
Oh God, you didn't.
Yeah, just as a bit. It was fun. Like you can't commit to an outfit like that and then lose. Like you have to win.
You have to win if you're wearing jorts. Were you wearing flip-flops?
No, I was not.
That would have been spectacular.
That would have been dangerous.
Okay.
That would have been dangerous.
All right,
tennis.
fair. Welcome to the Pants Quandary, a podcast about how people navigate life with curiosity and creativity, and also where I get to be like Mr. Rogers, taking you on field trips to meet these people. I'm your host and resident nerd, Catherine Beeson. You can find me at catherinebeeson.com, or just find the link in the show notes. Happy nerding, stay curious. My guest for today seems like she's hardwired for curiosity, learning, and growth. In her relatively short life so far, she has gotten a degree in Earth and Oceanographic Sciences, run a podcast for American Geosciences Institute, taught marine science at the Island School in the Bahamas, worked as a safety monitor at a hopped tea brewery, and is now a paramedic in the city of Denver. Railey Zantop-Zimlinghaus, welcome to the pod.
Thank you. Thank you.
So what led you to paramedic work?
Well, as you mentioned in that beautiful intro, I worked at the Island School a few years ago, and in order to work there, we had to get like wilderness first responder certified, which at that time was kind of just like a check mark of a thing that I had to do to like teach there and like work there as a teacher. It's like because there's not a hospital close by and because you have a whole bunch of like boarding school students like staying there, like it's like a liability thing. So you get this, I think it's like an 80-hour course, so it's like super minimal, but got that.
Did you say 80 hours?
Yeah.
And that's minimal.
Yeah, I mean, for a medical professional, yeah, like there's no hospital. Like just me with like an 80-hour course, like some 23-year-old just like
I hear that.
I know how to splint an arm, like that's instead of a doctor.
I mean, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. But yeah, so I was there and I was teaching, and then there was an accident, like basically one of the dive masters who was instructing two students didn't put out a dive flag to say that there were divers under the water because they were in relatively shallow water. I think it was 15 feet or so. Okay. And the students were just learning how to scuba dive. It was like their first day. Oh. And they were trying to figure out their buoyancy and like how to go down. And a small fishing skiff didn't see them because there wasn't a flag. So the skiff came and hit them both with the propeller.
Oh,
so
wow.
Both of them got hit in the head with a boat propeller.
In the head?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So two students hit in the head with a boat propeller within like 3 or 4 days of starting the semester, like, and there's just a bunch of us there who just finished this 80-hour course. There's no hospital, there's no nothing. Like, we are the resource, right? Wow. It happened on like a Saturday morning, so a lot of the like higher up people weren't even there on the campus at the time. It was like a lot of young fellows, including myself. We were all like fresh out of college, basically. Yeah, so that kind of whole situation, both of those boys lived, by the way.
Okay, great. Okay,
yeah,
we can
both
all breathe
of them
now.
lived. They were both incredibly lucky in the way that they were hit. One of them, the propeller kind of came across his face like this, didn't affect his eye.
Oh my
like
gosh.
the way that it like glanced off, like the mask. He was totally fine.
Wow.
The other one, he got like 3 or 4 rotations of the propeller onto his scalp, but no like further damage to his brain.
Okay, great.
So everybody survived with some crazy scars and crazy stories. And I found
was
like
everyone just freaking out?
Yeah. So the other teachers who were like there, right, started sort of freaking out because it's like, you can't blame anybody. It's like an English teacher, right? Like like a history teacher, like
sure. They didn't sign up for this.
A math teacher. Like we signed up for this to be able to like give kids their prescription medications and like bandage a blister sort of thing. Like that's kind of the expectation, or so we thought. Oh. And then so I was actually like not at the beach when this happened. I was like drinking a coffee and like doing a lesson plan, and one of the other teachers came like running through the area that I was at, and he's like, there's been a shark attack, like everybody's like been attacked by a shark, because he just saw blood in the water and assumed shark.
Wow.
So like that's the level of like panic that this person had, and I was like, okay,
and
well,
not even close to correct information.
Not correct information, like not not like a calm demeanor that's going to allow us to like help solve the problem, right?
Right.
And I was like, man, like this dude's got like 20 years on me. I would have looked to him to be in charge in this situation, but like he's clearly like not emotionally in a place where he can do that.
Right.
Because it's one thing to like know stuff on a textbook, like how to do a physical assessment on a person and like how to like look for injuries and like how to take a blood pressure, like all of those things. But then to do it in an emergency situation feels super different. So I found out kind of after that whole situation that I was actually very well suited to operating under that type of pressure. Like I don't know what it is. I think that it's like kind of just like you're either sort of wired for it or you're not.
Oh, interesting.
I think that some of it is hardwired.
And so this guy comes in running, saying, shark attack, everybody's been, half eaten by a shark. And you're like, let me put down my pen.
Yeah, I literally was like, sip of coffee, set it down, and like, all right, let's go. Like, I think like a little brisk jog over to the water to see what was going on. And a couple of the other instructors had like pulled them to the shore by then. They weren't very far in. They weren't very deep. It was a small fishing boat that can go really shallow that hit them, right? Yeah. So we started like delegating, basically saying, hey, like you hold this umbrella over them, like you go get their passports, you go get a van and make sure that the van has gas, like we're going to the airport.
And you were calm enough to start doing that.
Yeah.
And did you feel like that helped calm other people down? I mean, sometimes, just giving someone a very specific task can calm them.
There's definitely a level of like your demeanor in an emergency situation is going to impact the other people around you to a certain extent. Yeah. So for example, that other teacher who, not his fault at all, like he's running around saying people have been eaten by a shark. Not his fault that was his reaction. That's like an honest human reaction. Like no judgment for that. Yes. But I was like, he needs a job. So I told him to get all the other students and put them in this other specific area. And I was like, you get the other ones and you get them over there. Yeah. You get them over there and you do something with them. Yeah. And then he was like, oh, okay, like I have this job now. I'm gonna go do this job. Yeah. That kind of thing. So
Man. Okay.
Yeah. I definitely wasn't the only one who handled it well. There were other people who also handled it well.
Well, I can't believe it would be only one person doing all of that. That's like a movie. So okay, so that's great. So and that kind of gave you the idea that you might have a skill set. Sort of an inherent skill set.
It was kind of like percolating in the back of my mind. Right. And then COVID happened and I kind of landed back here in Denver and I was like, oh, it's a good enough time to just kind of dip my toe in that more and see if I actually enjoy that line of work. And so that's kind of what led me there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then just how long did you have to train or study or whatever to get to be a paramedic?
Okay, so
because it's got to be more than 80 hours, I'm guessing.
It's a little more than 80 hours. So there's to be a paramedic, you have to be an EMT beforehand. Mm-hmm. A lot of people colloquially will interchange the phrases, but like an EMT, basic emergency medical technician, that's like the entry level. Mm-hmm. Like pre-hospital responder, basically. Okay. That, I believe, was a summer course that was 3 months long, and that's 3 days a week for 4 or 5 hours at a time. Okay. So that's a 3-month course. You do that, you pass your National Registry exam, and then you can go out and work as an EMT.
Well, so is there any on-the-job training? Do you see... I don't know how to talk about this. Action?
do we see action in school? Well, because it was during COVID times for me, there was no clinical rotation. Okay. But I believe that there is some level of clinical rotation. You go into the ER, you practice getting IV sticks, you observe the medics bringing in patients and whatnot. So you're actually kind of involved in that environment. But because it was during COVID that I was going through that, they were kind of just read your textbook, I guess. So then I worked as an EMT for a while, first for North Glen Ambulance and Air Life Denver, doing crit care transport. So that's a lot of interfacility transport, so people who need to go from one level to another. It's flight medics and flight nurses who are the medical crew, and then when they go by ground, they need somebody to drive the ambulance. So if you're an EMT basic, just getting your feet wet in it, that's kind of what I ended up doing for a little bit. And then I got hired on at Denver Health at the paramedic division, where I worked 911 more. I worked 911 at North Glen a bit, but I did it more with Denver. I worked there for about a year and change before then going to paramedic school.
Okay.
Went to paramedic school, which for me took about 9 months, but it can take a year or longer.
Wow,
and that's
okay.
because of like clinical rotations.
Right.
So you do your classroom portion, and then you have a bunch of clinical hours that you need to fulfill in a whole bunch of different units of the hospital. You have the ER, the trauma ICU, the cardiac ICU. You do a rotation with respiratory therapists. You do a rotation at the NICU and labor and delivery. So you're going to all these different like areas of the hospital, basically. So you have to do your hours there, and then you do your hours like precepted on an ambulance, like running all the calls, and you have your preceptors like with you, kind of like helping you give you feedback, like after a call, sort of like your training wheels almost. So you're like running the 911 call, but if
you're seeing
you lose it,
real cases, but you have this backup person in case you might accidentally kill someone.
In case you freeze, basically. Yeah, I shouldn't get to the level of accidentally killing somebody. In case you freeze, like in case you are the person who is running around screaming shark attack. Yeah. Like you go on some call and you're like, in theory, I'm ready to deal with whatever an in-home cardiac arrest.
Okay, yeah.
Which is a very like, it sounds weird to say, but it's a super simple call because it's an algorithm. It's a very simple algorithm. You just memorize it and you just follow it. Like it is not difficult to do. But you're there with family members, with like pets and grieving. It can happen at 2 a.m. Like there's all these external factors. So like if you show up to your first cardiac arrest and like you're just emotionally like overcome, or you're not able to function, you kind of just like freeze. Then you do have your preceptor who can step in and do stuff. And so luckily that never happened to me, but like it is comforting to have in the back of your mind to be like, if I really jack this up,
then it's going to be okay.
There's somebody here.
I mean, it's with all of those rotations, you're getting exposure to all the kind of the potential, I don't know, situations that you could be in, right? And so at any point were you in any of those rotations thinking, what have I gotten myself into?
There's a lot of moments where you feel that way, and that's like before the rotations, during the rotations, afterwards. Yeah. I've been a medic for over a year now, and I still feel that way sometimes. Yeah.
How do you address that when you get to feel that way? I mean,
just one step at a time.
Yeah.
Like you're presented with really challenging problems to solve, because you're dealing with potentially like life-threatening medical emergencies in not ideal conditions, and in not controlled environments. So when you're given this like scenario, basically, if you look at the whole thing, like it can be a little bit overwhelming, but you have to just go like step by step. You're like, okay, well, this needs to happen before this can happen. Like my goal is to like get the person into the ambulance and transport them to the hospital. Like it's very simple. Like,
it sounds so simple.
It's so simple when it comes down to it. And also on the medical side, it's just airway, breathing, circulation.
Sure.
Like if somebody's a really complicated medical call and everything's going wrong, you can always come back to like, do they have an airway?
Yeah.
Are they breathing? Do they have blood pumping?
Yeah.
Like, and if they don't have an airway, stop and fix it. If they're not breathing adequately, stop and fix it. If they don't have good circulation, stop and fix it. It's very simple. You go back to those ABCs. Like that's what they teach.
I love that because it always just sort of centers you about what the most necessary things are for this issue.
Yeah.
But then there are the issues that could be coming down the pike, or the ancillary issues, right? Like you were saying, pets, grieving family members, someone running around screaming shark attack. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And so you're not really supposed to be dealing with that, but you can't not deal with that.
Yeah, you have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Like the other part of the job that I think is quite difficult is along those lines. You're not just like coming in and solving a problem that's kind of hard to solve. You're also like taking on all of this like emotional turmoil that people are experiencing, like on scene, bystanders, family members, the patient, other providers, like whatever's going on, like people are oftentimes stressed. And you have to like kind of take that on, but also like not let it affect you.
Right.
But you have you're witnessing a lot of it. You're kind of like being a conduit for a lot of that, like
right. And I mean,
very intense energy.
I mean, I'm guessing that some of what we were talking about earlier, you know, assigning tasks to people might also really help in those in those kind of conditions. And then, this whole idea that they're looking to you to fix everything, like just staring at you to fix everything.
Yeah.
And maybe they actually have some information that could be useful to you.
Like people on scene, like bystanders and stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and I mean, sometimes you're not going to get a lot of information.
Right.
Because maybe somebody's like alone at home.
Right.
And you don't know what happened. Or they're really confused and you don't know if that's normal for them.
Right.
Or they speak a different language. Something like super niche. Like, or they're, you know, any number of issues. So then it comes down to airway, breathing, circulation. Like I can look at you right now and I can tell by the color of your skin that you have like adequate circulation.
Oh,
like,
thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm like looking at your fingernails. I'm like, yep, okay, you've got good circulation. Like you're adequately oxygenated. Like you're alert and tracking me. Like that's great.
Right.
Like that's.
But I'm choosing to do a podcast, so that could be.
So that could be an indication of like being a little bit confused.
Okay, so that sounds like a high stress kind of environment. And what kind of training did you receive or not for those kinds of things?
I think a lot of it is just repetition.
Yeah.
Is just because you can't simulate everything. They do a lot of simulations and stuff in school.
Right. So they'll throw the bystander thing at you a little bit.
They'll throw the bystander thing at you, or they'll even like prepare you for like really messed up scenes, like mass shootings and stuff.
Okay.
So they will play the audio of radio traffic and gunfire and like alarms and sirens and like have a fog machine going and you have to go in and get your mannequin and get it out. Like
that's real.
So they'll do stuff like that too occasionally. Yeah, and like that can be like, you know, it has its merits, but it can also be like a little traumatic.
Yeah.
But yeah, you do simulations and you do a bunch of those. And you run through a bunch of practice scenarios. And luckily, 90% of the calls that we go on are like not super serious.
Right.
It's like a 30-year-old guy has a fever, or like, you know,
man flu.
My knee has been hurting for 30 years and I called you today because of it. Or like, I have diverticulitis and I'm having a flare up of my diverticulitis and this feels exactly like it normally does. And this is what they usually do for me. So, like it's
but
stuff
they called 911.
But they called because they don't have a way to get to the hospital.
Okay.
They don't know what else to do. They don't have a primary care. All they know is that they're in pain or they're hurting or they have a fever or their knee hurts or whatever. So a lot of the calls that we go on are not like life or death situations.
Got it.
So you get pretty good at like just dealing with people, because in my mind, I might show up to your house and you're like, my pinky is broken. This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Like, I feel like I'm dying. Right. And like, I walk in and I'm like, she's fine. Like, she's totally fine. Yeah. But like, I still have to like be with you on that level of like, you think that your life is ending because your pinky's broken or what have you. Right. So something can seem fairly minor from our point of view, but it can be that person's like
worst thing
that's ever happened to them. So it's also kind of balancing that, but you get a lot of practice with that kind of thing.
I'm sure that must be the case. Do you know those memes where it's like, what society thinks I do, what my parents think I do,
what I actually do?
Oh,
I'm sure there are some paramedic ones out there.
I mean, I just am kind of, as I'm asking you these questions, I'm really understanding how little I actually know. Okay, and so is there a way that you can, I don't know, easily kind of create that meme for us right now? Like, what does society think you do? You drive around.
Society thinks that we like drive around like saving lives, and like, you know, in the movies when they like somebody like puts a pen in someone's neck to make them breathe. They're like, who's got a ballpoint pen? And they like crike some. I've never criked anybody, and we wouldn't do it with a pen. Yeah. Like, you know, like people are doing like, you know, you do 3 chest compressions and somebody's alive again. Like that sort of thing. Like that's not really what we're doing. Okay. Occasionally we do like movie worthy, like badass, like very cool stuff. Like you roll in with some like with some gnarly like motorcycle accident and you're like, I tourniqueted both legs, like I have IV access, like everything's great. This guy's gonna live because of me. Like you're welcome. Okay. So there can be moments like that where you feel like, Yeah, this is like the movies. Like it makes it look cool, but it's those moments are so few and far between. And if you do the job for those moments, you're not gonna be in the job very long, because a lot of the rest of it is
under-resourced folks.
Under-resourced folks who also happen to be pretty sick a lot of the times because they don't have access to consistent like shelter and nutrition and hospital and stuff like that.
And nobody's going to put that stuff in the movies. I hear what you're saying.
It's not glamorous. Yeah, a lot of the shelters are not particularly glamorous.
And then what do you think like your friends or your parents think you do in that meme? The same?
Yeah, probably like something similar, but
like if your parents were going to brag
they also think
about
I probably just like sit around, because I do sit around sometimes just waiting for calls.
Waiting for calls.
Yeah.
I mean, like if your friends or your parents were going to brag about you at a party, you know.
Oh, my parents, they'd be like.
But would they be like, that one time? Or would they be like, she's a paramedic, she waits for 911 calls?
I think that they would be somewhere in the middle of it, because I don't tell them like all the details of my calls, because like some of it can be like pretty traumatic for somebody who's like not in that world, in the healthcare world. Yeah. So I often like don't tell them all the details. I'll just be like
gloss over it.
Yeah, I'll gloss over it. I'll be like, yeah, I like saved a person who was in anaphylaxis or something like that. Yeah, that's a fun call. Yeah. Or I helped a diabetic person wake up and then thumbs up and I left them. You know, like they wanted to stay home, so they did. Like that kind of thing. Like
I mean, Railey, that still seems pretty movie worthy.
I don't know. A movie about diabetic wake-ups would be.
I mean, if I was the diabetic person who needed to wake up and not die, that would be a great movie.
Totally. I mean, and that's actually my favorite call. My favorite call are like the simple, like not complicated diabetic wake-up. Somebody took too much insulin on accident or forgot to eat dinner or something like that, and you give them an IV, you give them a little bit of sugar, you make them a sandwich, and you say, have a good day, and like you're able to fix that problem yourself. Right. Like it doesn't necessarily need a hospital. It's like they needed you. It was an emergency, but like they're fine. Yeah. Like they'll be fine. Right. And they can just go about the day.
It's a great first line of defense.
Yeah, it's great. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then what do you think you do? I think we've already covered that a lot.
I do a lot of snooping through people's houses.
Oh, okay. Well, I was not expecting that answer.
Oh, picture it. Like you show up to a house and like you're trying to get a full idea of the person's health and their environment. And so in a hospital, like the doctors don't get to see where these people come from. Mm-hmm. Like if somebody's coming from a home like this, that's very like clean and tidy and like, you know, very clearly you're like capable of like taking care of yourself.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Like it's different than if somebody is coming from like a hoarding situation.
Sure.
Where there's like layers of newspaper or like, you know, pet mess and stuff everywhere, human mess, like that kind of thing, right? Yeah. So it's like, it's really different. And then also we have to look and see if people are on any medications. If somebody's taken a fall, I want to know if they're on a blood thinner. So I'm like going through bathroom cabinets, looking legit. For medications.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, like having a med list like easily accessible, like on a fridge or something like that is great. Okay. Or like in a wallet, super convenient. But sometimes people are confused and they don't, and you don't know, and it's like you're trying to.
Or they're not in their regular environment or whatever.
You're trying to like be a detective basically. Like you find a person down in an alleyway, it's a different call if there's a gun next to them versus if there's like a bunch of needles next to them. Right. It's like a different, or if there's both. You know, it's it's a different call. Yeah. Based on like environmental factors too. So I do a lot of just like showing up to random places and then trying to like quickly like look around and like glean what I can about the person.
How often do you get the call? I don't know how this works, but I assume there's some type of description of what's going on. Yeah. And it can't possibly be the full story. Mm-hmm. So you get to whatever the place is, whatever the situation is. Yeah. And you have to, I assume, like the very first things you're doing is assessing, right?
Yeah. Like the very first thing is like the windshield assessment as you're driving up.
Okay. Yeah. And so then you do this assessment, and at that point, it's just whatever you're presented with. Right?
Yeah, and like you have to figure out, and this is like there's like a list for this, right? Okay. It's a checklist. It's kind of EMS is a lot of parts of it are modeled after actually like air safety and like flights and stuff, like with all the checklists, like all the checklists. So like you're showing up, you're like, okay, like how many patients do I have? Like, what's the nature of the call? Is this trauma? Is this medical? Like, what's going on? Do I need additional resources? Do I need more people here? Like, you're just kind of going through this list of stuff that you need to like figure out.
At each of those stages, there might be an action that you need to take, right? If you need more people there, you're going to call it in. If you're that
early,
kind of thing.
Like if I show up to a car accident and there's like, I can immediately tell that there's 30 patients.
Okay.
Or there's like even
the
10
potential
patients.
For
I'm going to get a second ambulance coming because like the quicker I ask for that, the sooner they'll be on scene and able to actually like help me with stuff. But yeah, so there's stuff that can change through like all of those.
Yeah, I would assume that that's true. And then you just have a Mary Poppins bag that you run around with that just has magical things in it.
Basically, we have an orange kit.
Okay.
It's like a little like OtterBox situation that's like yay big, and that has pretty much anything in it that you would need to run a call.
So it all comes down to the ABC.
Yeah, most calls can be run out of that kit.
That's crazy.
You know, with a handful of other things. And then, of course, we have our monitor, like our cardiac monitor, that you can use to take a 12 lead, look at somebody's heart, or you can use that if you're doing CPR on somebody to shock them.
So you haul this thing into whatever situation you're going into.
Yeah, we're carrying a kit, a monitor, and then we have our stretcher. And our stretcher can only sometimes fit in certain places. So if it's a walk-up, I didn't
even think about that.
If it's a walk-up or the elevator's like yay big, then our stretcher's not coming with us. So.
And how do you deal with that?
Most people can walk.
Okay.
And if they can't walk, if they're super sick, then we have a chair.
Okay.
We have a stair chair, which basically is exactly what it sounds like. It's a chair that goes on stairs.
Okay.
It's got like a little tread on the bottom of it, so you're lifting. I'm not lifting. The fire department lifts.
Okay. Excellent.
I'm not lifting.
So the fire department. So that's an interesting question. So here in Denver, and I assume in kind of a lot of places, but I don't know if this is true.
It's different everywhere.
So every call, there's fire department and EMT, paramedic, and police?
So it depends on the type of call. If you call and you say, I've been vomiting, I really need to go to the hospital, I'm vomiting too much to drive, but like I'm okay, they might dispatch it non-emergent, which means that I won't come lights and sirens. I'll just drive to your house.
Okay. And no police and no fire.
And they probably won't send fire and police on that unless there's like a history of police-related stuff going on at the house, domestic violence calls, or a lot of like shootings or whatever, like at the location. Then they'll sometimes attach police automatically for our safety based on like the premise history.
Right.
But yeah, with a call like that, we could easily show up with like just me and my partner.
Okay.
But on other calls like auto accidents, that's all 3 agencies.
Right.
Like a sick medical, that's usually us and fire.
How does that work when you have 3 agencies show up?
Yep.
I mean, of course, you all are trying to work together, but I assume there's got to be some kind of weird hierarchy situation.
It depends on the call. So if it's mostly medical and I'm the attending paramedic, I'm in charge of what's happening on the scene. If the scene somehow becomes unsafe, the police are in charge of making sure that we're all safe and out of there. So then it becomes, it's now predominantly a safety issue. The police will get us out of the way.
Okay.
And it's their job, right?
Right.
If there's a fire,
right,
then it's the fire department's job, right? Okay. Or like if a person is injured but they need to be cut out of a vehicle or something like that,
then that's the fire department.
That's the fire department. I'll get in there and I'll like do whatever I can while they're there and like do whatever I can assessment wise, figure out what we need. But like I can't transport them if they're stuck in a vehicle, right? So like the fire department has to cut the vehicle, and then it's mine.
Are there? Is there a situation in which you are taking the leadership role over the fire department?
Yeah, all the time.
Really?
Most calls that the fire department goes on, I don't want to make up a statistic, but it's got to be really high, like are medical related. So most of the time, they will be there and kind of looking to us to see what we need from them. That could be anything from helping with the stair chair to if you have a really sick person, them like being in the back of the ambulance helping you. So if I'm in the back with a super sick patient and I want additional hands, like I want more people there, then I'll bring the fire department with me because my partner has to drive.
Right. So, you are a fairly young person.
Yeah.
And these people in the fire department or in the police department that you're, sort of showing up with, I mean, I'm sure after a while you probably get to know some of them.
Yeah, for sure.
But it must be a little bit weird from time to time to, be a fire department person or a police department person and having a 20-something-year-old
Some like young
paramedic saying, do this, do that.
somebody who's like the age of their kid. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Like the dynamics between different agencies can be, for the most part, it's really positive.
Okay.
Because like we all intersect, like all of our jobs overlap, but
Sure.
there's also like really specific stuff. Like if you have like a really sick medical person, like on the whole, like the cops and the firefighters don't want anything to do. They do not want to be in charge of that.
Well, I mean, they haven't been trained in the same way that you have.
Right, exactly. Okay. Like they have some like basic like CPR and like, you know, EMT level, some of that, you know, like
right.
sometimes depends on the agency. But they don't want to be in charge of that. Like they don't want to be in charge of the person who's like sick and about to die.
Right.
Like they don't want that.
Right.
If somebody like else is doing that job, great. And
Absolutely.
so I think that there's a level of that too.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can definitely run into like egos.
That's
like
what I
all
was wondering
three of
about.
those jobs can sometimes attract people who have a high a high opinion of themselves or a big ego. Right. So
well, I mean, any kind of, I don't know, you are a little bit playing God, so to speak.
For sure.
When you have training and ability and permission to go save people.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's definitely, for sure.
I can see how it would really, no fault, just kind of create the opportunity for someone who would want to feed that ego to just have it like
there's
stuffing their face.
There's
with
a
all
phrase like a paragod. Like for a reason, like somebody who thinks that they're like playing like they're a paragod basically. It's not a positive thing. It's not a positive thing to be that way. You want to stay humble. You want to always be looking for ways to improve.
Well, yeah. I mean, it kind of goes along with the problem-solving thing, right? Because if you're starting to say, oh, you know, like I know all the things, you might miss something. I'm assuming.
For sure. Yeah. Okay. And you're always going to miss stuff. Like there's the chance that you're going to miss something, and that's why also having a partner is good too.
Yeah,
because the partner can be like, "Did you look at this?" And you can be like, "Oh my god!" Like
yeah.
Well,
and some of those situations that you're describing sound like they could be super confusing and chaotic. Certainly having a partner and then having this partnership with the other
agencies.
Agencies. I think that does make a lot of sense.
It's huge. Yeah. It's huge because we need them and they need us.
Right.
Like all of us work interdependently.
It's an interesting kind of leadership strategy to just have like this three-cornered hat,
Mm-hmm.
and to have it just be so easy to, it seems like based on the way you described it, so easy to sort of spin
switch who's in charge.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like it's in everyone's best interest to give up, to cede that leadership to the correct department.
Yeah, well, it also, I would agree with that, and then it also gets complicated sometimes when there's more than one thing that takes precedence. It's not just a medical or just a police issue or something like that. Because the police might have their own agenda that they need to have happen with this person. This person's under arrest. This person needs to go to the hospital. Whatever. The person's under arrest, but I'm over here being like, hey, they also need a hospital. And so then you kind of have to balance all right, they have to be in a handcuff, but I need access to be able to provide medical care. So it's there's a bit of a juggling act there where we've done it enough.
The policy.
Yeah, exactly. Where you're kind of okay, I see that they need to be in handcuffs. They're in custody. Sure, that's fine. But also, they can't be sitting there handcuffed like this. Because if I need access to their chest or their stomach or something like that, I don't have it.
You've been in so many different kinds of situations.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a story that you could tell in the same kind of vague way that's still protecting everyone, that was something that had been unexpected or surprising to you in some way.
Well, here's an unexpected or surprising category. I have had 3 patients in my 3 years working here who have all sustained gunshot wounds to the head And like not just like a graze. Like I've had some graze too where they just kind of get like nicked.
Sure.
It's just like skin. But no, where it's like in, out, like in and out of different parts of their head. And they're alert and talking and supporting their own airway. And I've had that several times. But this was the time I was like fully expecting this to be like not a good outcome. This might be something where we say like, ooh, there's nothing that we can do.
Yeah.
Like this is an injury that is like incompatible with life is what it's called. An injury incompatible with life. Something that's no amount of hospital is going to save you. And they're like, he's alert and talking.
What? In a case like that, where it just the information you're receiving and what you are observing do not seem to match.
Yeah.
How much second guessing are you doing about whether you're really being thorough? And
you're doing so much reassessment,
Yeah.
constant reassessment. And that's a thing that like you need to do on critical patients no matter what.
Yeah.
Like you need to reassess because the patient's condition is going to change.
Sure.
And like the only thing I could find on assessment was that one of his pupils was larger than the other, which can be indicative of like a brain injury, but he's alert and answering questions and responding appropriately. He's, confused about what happened, but anybody would be like...
Yeah.
It's like, did I get hit? Like, he doesn't know what happened, really. But he's otherwise alert, and I'm just, like, constantly reassessing that. I'm constantly being like, do we have any other deficits? Like, any other injuries? Like, even with a patient like that, this is for every major trauma patient.
Sure.
You get them what's called trauma naked. You, like, basically just strip them to make sure that you're not missing anything.
Right.
You're like, well, we have the obvious here, but like, are we missing something else, like here
in
or pelvis
or
like high up on your thigh or something like that? So if you're involved in multi-system trauma or something where you could potentially have other injuries, that you might, like, it's called a distracting injury. So like if my arm's really broken, but I also have like a giant injury here,
or whatever,
I might be distracted by this and not notice this. So like we have to like look. So you're just reassessing constantly. You're like, this person
can't be the whole story.
This person should be sicker.
Yeah. Okay. So listen, you do an enormous amount of problem solving and problem seeking, and the shifting sands with the leadership, like all of this stuff in your work life. Do you think that the way that you problem seek and problem solve in your just daily non-work life has changed or been affected by this at all?
I would say it probably has been affected. In some ways for the better and in some ways potentially for the worse.
Okay.
Where it's like, I have a great deal of patience when it comes to being at work. Like so much patience for people's small problems.
Sure.
Because like, it's my job. It's what I do. So like if somebody like family or friend or whoever in my life is like having a small problem, I just like don't really have that much patience for it. Because I'm like, I'm tired of it. I'm like, that's not a big problem. Like it's a very easily solvable thing. And so I'm very like cool, calm, collected, and also like, you're fine. Like, and so sometimes that can probably come off as being like, I don't really care. I do care, but also like you're fine.
You can
but
solve
also
this.
You're fine. Like this is fine. So that's interesting, but I do find that like a lot of the not only problem solving but decision making. When I come off a shift, like I don't want to make a decision. I don't want to make any choices. I just don't want to.
You want to just be presented with things. And
I don't want to have to choose.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to choose anything because the amount of decisions that have to happen. Like in all of the problem solving, because it's like, okay, like let's say this person had a stroke. Like they've had a stroke and they fell because they had a stroke.
Okay.
But they have a broken hip because they fell.
Yeah.
So you have a trauma, like you've got all of these multifaceted things.
Sure.
So you have to decide, like, okay, we go to the trauma center because of the trauma, but they should also have some stroke capabilities because of the stroke. So you're just making a lot of decisions. Now that's kind of a big one, like where to go, what hospital to go to, whether to transport the person emergent or non-emergent. Like all of those things are big decisions, but you're also making a lot of small decisions like throughout the day. So you're making a lot of decisions for people. Like on their behalf. Like it can get exhausting, and so at the end of the day, I really just don't want to choose anything. Like, what's for dinner? I'm not choosing. Snacks. Whatever I see when I open the fridge. Like
snacks for dinner are really underrated.
Yeah, it's really nice.
It is an underrated meal. I love
Girl
snacks
dinner.
for dinner.
Girl dinner.
I mean, there's every way to make popcorn.
Every way to make yeah, exactly. So,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I would say that my problem solving skills though, I feel like they're fine usually. Like most stuff I tend to break it down into, if I have this big problem, like what are the small problems that I can solve to get at the bigger problem. But yeah, it's definitely interesting, I think.
Do you feel like this work can be done by someone who struggles with anxiety?
Yeah, I think that it can be. Yeah, I definitely get anxious, and I know other people who are like fairly like clinically anxious who work in this environment.
It just, the reason I'm asking is, and full, acceptance of my naivete on this.
Yeah, sure.
But with some anxiety, it seems like there's just always disaster planning or a sense of disaster planning when there might not be a disaster to plan for,
Right.
And so that's kind of why I was wondering if it might get in the way,
Yeah. I think that for some individuals, it might get in the way. Like I'm thinking of folks that I've worked with, some people who just like get so anxious that they get completely paralyzed and like can't function. Like their brain just sort of like short circuits for a while. I think that if you're able to like compartmentalize or work around that, I think that a lot of us who work in EMS, like the people who've been doing it for a while and who have a mostly like healthy, like outside of work life, there's a level of being able to compartmentalize.
Okay. So it's someone else's problem, not mine.
Yeah, it's someone else's emergency. And like that's kind of just the mindset of like getting to a call. Like when you're driving, like you're going to a really messed up call or something, or you got to get there fast. Like their airways closed. Like I don't run anywhere. Like I don't run on calls. And part of that is like slow is smooth and smooth is fast.
Okay.
So you don't want to be like hurrying and forgetting things or being sloppy with stuff, and it's better to just like smoothly go about those things. And I think that people who have that ability to sort of like emotionally do that too, and like emotionally kind of like compartmentalize like what needs to be done versus the emotions that you might be feeling. I think that those people are more successful at like having a sustainable career as a medic.
I feel like that's that would be a good thing to have, just generally.
A sustainable career.
In
general,
just to sustain my life. I feel like that slow is smooth and smooth is what is it?
Slow is smooth and smooth is fast.
And smooth is fast. Yeah.
Like
it's like a level of efficiency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about efficiency, and it's all about like maintaining like a level head when you're in those situations.
I mean, I probably would never have cut myself the thousands of times I have done that in the kitchen
if
I was cooking a little bit more slowly.
Yeah.
Or if I was having snacks for dinner.
If you're having snacks for dinner, you basically don't need a knife unless you're having cheese. But then like those knives aren't super sharp. So.
See, look at our problem solving.
See, there you go, problem solving. Problem solving and seeking.
Yeah. Well, so I definitely appreciate you spending this time, kind of talking me through that meme.
The meme.
We've just basically made this episode about your meme here.
But it was the meme, basically, because that's the whole thing. Yeah.
Railey, thank you so much for
thank you for having me.
For sitting here and dealing with my weird questions. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And that's the episode. Super thanks to Railey for keeping it lively and not lording it over me too much that she has more podcasting experience at a million years my junior. The Pants Quandary is a brand new podcast. Thank you for listening. Special thanks to Matthew Ward for the cover art, to Jessica Mays for composing and mixing the theme music, to Susanna Klein, Sonia Stith-Williams, and Jordan Gunn for recording it, and to my cat Roxy for reminding me I've been sitting down too long obsessing over the editing process. Or maybe she's hungry. Either way, it's nice having a cat. If you like what I'm up to, please consider becoming a Backstage Pass subscriber. Your support helps keep me going, literally and figuratively. I'll be back with another episode in 2 weeks. Until then, talk to strangers, listen to children, touch some plants, and go find the sun on your face for a minute or two.